All right, ladies and gentlemen, will the members of
There she is.
Grand Funk Rotary Choir, every one of you, please stand for a song led by Alan Burns.
Dr. Burns.
All right. Okay. Hey, it's that season of the year, guys and girls. And so this is a song that was written 115 years ago, 1907. And it actually, School Days was the name of a Broadway play back in the earlier days, but this is a theme song. So, in any event, here it is, and let's do it upright. School days, dear old golden rule days, reading and writing and arithmetic.
Cut to the tune of a hickory stick.
You were my queen in calico. I was your bashful barefoot beau. And you rode on my sleigh. I love you, Jackie. When we were a couple of kids.
Katie's enjoying that.
Walter Childs is not here today, is he, Walter? Today's his birthday, and we were going to do that.
Let's sing happy birthday anyway.
Remember to say it to him.
Happy birthday.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please join me in prayer or meditation in your own way as I say, bless this food to our use and us to thy service. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us for lunch, guests and ladies first. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me announce that I brought in, I have 2 fig trees in my yard and they are covered with figs. They all get ripe at the same time, you know. And
Lots is right over here.
and please take all you want, and I got more where that comes from. If you like figs, let me know and I'll bring you some next week too.
I will come to your house.
You can deliver some to me.
Oh, we still got some. Okay, all right.
Diane, how's the mic?
Ladies first.
Right now.
Well, I can't quite tell yet.
Say it again.
I'm still trying to determine. I do feel like I'm hearing better.
Yeah, it's a better mic.
Yeah, the muffle is gone.
You got me all blocked.
Hey, Mark, how's it sound to you?
Sounds okay. Can you hear me?
That's good. That's good. Well, look, I'm going to stop recording. Paul's recording, and we're going to eat.
Rotary show. We have no guests this morning. We do have 2 important speakers who will be hearing from later. We have Peaches Dodge and John Figge, who are going to be talking about the Domestic Violence Coalition. And I would like to begin this meeting with a very happy announcement. And will Libby Wright, our newest member.
Yay!
This is your temporary pin, and your badge
Temporary.
and will follow soon. And thank you very much for joining us. You may remember this is the woman who, before joining, came early to one meeting because she couldn't attend it, but she dropped off school supplies anyway. So.
Yes, and you're talking about school supplies. Willie Rando asked me to thank the club for their generous support of his school supply drive. Stanley, of course, spearheaded that. We thank you, Stanley. And they delivered something close to 250 bags full of school supplies, backpacks.
Fabulous. Good. Bravo. Thank you. Next, I wanted to talk about next week's meeting, and I'd like to invite Reggie and Ken up here to help us corral some volunteers. Next week, will be the Tuesday after Labor Day. And our hosts here will be inundated. And so we have been asked to find another meeting place just for next week. Same thing happened at the 4th of July. And I think, welcome to life in the resort. So we're going to be meeting next week at the Charity Rescue Service. This is the same place that we did all of the crab cake production. And but in order for us to pick up and move, we are going to need some assistance. So if you will explain what you got in mind, would you sign it? Be described. Thank you.
Yes, we have identified several tasks we need to take care of so that we can have a smooth transition from here to the church and let's do sport next week. The first one is to set up and take down tables. We need about 4 strong people. I'm not gonna say men.
This was definitely a man thing.
To volunteer for that. So
Count on me.
we have one, Ken.
All right.
We have 2.
2.
We have 3.
Volunteer.
4.
All
Awesome.
right.
You guys are awesome.
So you got
All right.
What time you want us there?
I'm gonna say probably by 11:15.
We have it at 11, so anytime, say 11:15, 11:30
Yes.
would be fine.
Okay. We also need someone to pick up at lunch. We decided to keep it simple: pizza and salad.
I don't eat pizza.
Well, you don't eat.
Pizza and salad. We're not eating pizza and salad.
I'm not coming.
Fine. We'll find something for Jackie. You guys get out of it. I can't hear you.
So where?
Well, we got the mic.
They
We want to
can't
make
hear
sure
Pizza and salad.
you got to talk into it.
We'll find
I'll bring
something for Jackie.
yeah.
Okay.
So where are they picking up the pizza? Is it local?
Undetermined. Locally,
Undetermined,
yes, but undetermined
I
at
can
this
pick up
moment.
the pizza since I'll have to pay for it.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
We need to determine where to get those 2 items from. So can you coordinate that? Oh,
Sure.
thank you. Drinks are gonna be iced tea and water. Okay. 1 person for drinks. You have a volunteer for drinks. Going once, going twice, 1 volunteer for drinks. Dave. Thank you, sir.
Now, is there is there a source for that, or I find the source?
You can find.
Food line.
You figure it out.
Save your receipts.
Okay.
Yes, Steve, that's Dan.
If you want drinks, we have drinks that we have left over from, sodas left over from our
Crab
crab
cake.
cake thing. I can bring those.
Yeah.
I think there's about
Great.
maybe 30 cans of soda.
Oh,
Okay.
And
So
water. All you have to do is water. I have soda.
Good, then we should get an extra person to bring ice.
something.
I'll do it.
They
Great,
They said they'll bring
There you
ice.
go.
Tablecloths, plates, cups, and plasticware. Someone can get those items. Maybe it's,
Yes.
I got it right. Okay. Thank you, Libby. Garbage bags and cleanup crew. Need a couple of people for cleanup. Just volunteer for those. Okay, we'll have Bill. Bill and Rusty?
Yeah, I'll help.
Okay, Bill and Rusty.
Do we have to bring garbage bags?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
If we
don't
have,
you have
if we have some,
Yeah.
that'll save it, save us.
We have those.
hey, Bill, I've got some garbage bags if you need them.
Is that from the crab cake?
Sandy.
No, I just have a bunch of them.
You ain't got a bunch.
Bill,
You
you'll
got
make
leftover
garbage bags.
bags.
I'm just offering.
Keep going, keep going.
Okay, the Rotary Bell badges sign-in sheets, I think that's the Sutherland Farms, right? Okay, great. And the virtual technology items so we can have Diane and whomever else.
Well, we're stuck with that.
They got internet there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so Bill and Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill and Joe. And is there anything that we missed? What's that?
The bashes box.
Oh, yes, Ken is doing. Okay.
Do we have dispensers for the tea or the?
Well, if we're gonna have.
Bottles, that's all gonna
We
be.
probably don't.
Oh,
Everything,
Yes.
Everything cans, they're all cans.
cans, bottles.
But you definitely gonna need ice.
Yeah, we got ice today.
That means you need cups.
That's great.
So you need cups.
Libby's
All right,
got
we need
cups.
to move on.
Well, the cups are,
We have everything included in the cups. That's for. Anything else that we missed?
Bill
That
Pickens
means-
ice chest. Put everything in.
Okay.
Yeah, I can bring that.
We'll turn it back to you.
Well, actually, and only for a moment, because
Yeah, we
the
want-
next thing we need to discuss is the fun part is game night.
Oh, good shit.
So is that, should we invite Joan up here as well? Are you
Sure.
recording who's coming or not, or?
We have a
We
list
need
right there.
I need to, before Labor Day. Okay, quick.
He wants a summary for game night.
How many people, John, do we have?
All right, as you,
Okay.
yeah.
You understand? Yeah, well, let me ask you. Who are you allows having fun?
I do.
Okay, who else in here allows having fun? Okay, except golf, okay, all right. So I don't know how many of you have actually experienced a game night. But game nights are tremendously fun and funny. Okay, we have a lot of fun because we laugh at other people, we laugh at each other. Okay, when one person misses and they have bingo or Pacino and they miss something, we just chew them out. You shouldn't have missed that, right? Okay, so game night is a different experience for us. We haven't had one before. We would love to have full participation. Okay, because it really is fun. And if you don't like it, you can just hang around and socialize. and
That's right.
get on people's nerves or whatever, okay? So we need to have everyone who can attend to sign up, and if you have someone that you are bringing with you, like I'm bringing my wife, of course, please put that on here. So just pass this around so we can get a count. We must have a count. Here's a pen. We must have a count to the restaurant by this week.
Yes.
How many?
What day is gonna be held here?
Oh,
17, 17.
Okay,
let's see what this number is. Yeah.
any questions? You all good?
Some of you, I want to answer a question that I've heard from others, and it has to do with the price for guests. So please remember that this includes a dinner, that the club pays for all of the member dinners. But if you bring a guest, then you have to pay for their dinner. And I know that the price is a little bit higher than what we faced in the past. It's $47 for a guest.
They don't have anything on their menu that's anywhere near that price. So actually, where is that?
So what happens here is that we get a deal on our lunches, and we get essentially free use of
Make
the
it up.
space. We make it up on social events. So the more people, so yeah, we have to pay a little bit extra then. But I hope, but if we don't, if we don't, then we'll wind up, if we don't have social events here, then we'll have to find another place to meet on Tuesday. And I'd rather not. I think this is just a delightful place. And we're really helping a small business in town. And this is a wonderful operation. It's very capital intensive. It's expensive to make all of that beer and to have the equipment to make it. And so we are in a way helping the business community and helping our
Where are you hiding the beer at the lunch then?
I like that thinking, Katie. We're gonna work on that.
So,
And yes, and there will be beer, several flavors on tap and in can.
And wine, and wine.
All right, Thank you.
Well, I have a comment to make on this.
Well,
Well,
important
I-
as we are running out of
It's
time.
very important.
Okay.
Come, learn how to play Pokino, and I have a special treat for those who choose to play Pokino. And
Wow.
nobody knows but me.
All right. Thank you, Jack.
She was talking about, when we talked to Rachel, she was saying they changed the oil in the fries and stuff. They change it every day. It went from, I think it was what, $3 to about $12 for a gallon. So, and they
Oh,
say they try to keep their help, so they pay them a little bit more than normal because it's a good turnout. So what she was saying is basically that she's trying to keep the business going by having the price, but it's a little bit higher than normal. That's why we decided to do that, right?
Yeah.
And we support you.
So that sign up sheet is going around. I hope someone's got it. All right, very good. Now it is time to bring up.
What
our
about Happy
speakers.
Dollars?
We'll have that at the end if we have time. Actually, I
Oh,
don't think
we
we
gotta
have
have
time.
time.
So let's welcome our speakers and Peaches Dodge and John Finney. The purpose of this is so that the people online can.
I approached that.
John's gonna have to start fitting in. This is
We're not saying. We know better.
Yes, I'll hand this out to her.
Okay, sorry. Hi, my name is Peaches, and I am the past president of the Eastern Shore Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Our president, our new president, happens to be sitting right in this room, and don't talk under the table, Jackie. She was elected just started her first term, and in July.
Hey.
I'm just keeping the seat warm
Here,
for
here.
Peaches.
Okay. I'm here to give you an update and kind of tell you a little bit about Eastern Shore Coalition Against Domestic Violence. However, if anybody has any questions, please just interrupt me, because I love to have questions, because it helps me to direct, what you're interested in and what you don't know, and I can help maybe answer it. Okay.
If they don't want to stay.
The coalition started in 1983. It's been around for a while. And it started in a garage with people answering telephones from phone calls with people that were being abused and were needing help and needed to get away from their abusers. So, and it's now we in 1993 bought a shelter, and our shelter was a duplex. It was 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, kitchen, and living room on one side, and then another 2 bedrooms, same thing, duplicate on the other. It held 16 people. We put them in bunk beds in those. We put four beds in each of the bedrooms, and that's what we could take in. And it was small, and they had to share a bathroom, and they had to share the kitchen, and they had, and they had to keep everybody sequestered there to keep them safe. So it worked, but it was tight. COVID hit, and we had to take all of those people out of the shelter because they couldn't be co-congregating. You remember all of that. And we put them into, and I start to say hospital, but it's not, hotels. We put them each family into a hotel room. We were funded mostly by the federal government and through grants. So this didn't put us into a financial strap us financially, because that can be big bucks. And in the first year, it was over $100,000. So, but it didn't put us in that. We remained in the black even through that. But we had all these families. Now you understand, a family often consists of a parent and 2 or 3 children. Half of the people we have in the shelter are children. So we have to address that all the time as well. Keeping them safe, keeping them okay, and getting their journey into the next part of life, being successful. So, which I can tell you I'm very proud of the fact of the way we do this. When I joined the board, a million years ago, no, 10 probably. I joined because they were going to have to close the shelter. And I said, you don't want to live in a community where there is no place for victims of violence to go. It's not a safe community if that's the case. And at that point, they had lost their grant. They had mortgages on both the shelter and the office building, et cetera, et cetera. It was really in tough shape. So we brought it back with a real coterie of fascinating people who just really went to work. And we just focused long and hard at this and said, okay, we've got to make this work. How do we do it? And we brought it back from around at that time, the budget was about $176,000 a year to right now, we have 10 employees and a budget of about $947,000 a year. We have bought all our buildings and sold all our buildings. Sold our buildings so we could do what we did now. As we jumped into COVID, it became apparent that the trauma of having to live in a room with perfect strangers, you know, you've just been abused and now you're seeking help, and now you have to come to a place where there's nobody in the room, you know, it's pretty abusive in a way. So we were seeing that people were thriving better, doing better, moving on to their next piece of their journey more quickly from the hotels, which is just an offshoot of how these things can teach you things. And so we said, okay, we've got to reduce trauma. How do we do that? And how do we find some place that we can keep families separated? So we all started looking for motels, nursing homes. And there were a lot of motels that came up for sale because motels during the crisis, we're vacant and not making any money. And in that process, we were also comparing it to, should we build something, you know, how much it would cost us to build something. It doesn't have to be Taj. We need to make it functional. So we got to the point where I was talking about setbacks, et cetera, with the town manager. And he suggested I go look. Now, I'm town manager in Nancock, and I'm from Nancock, sorry if I said that. And I said, well, I need to know some of that. Can you help me there? And he said, well, have you looked? The GF Horn property has come up again for sale. Sort of been, I don't know if the market tax sales and so. Now, this is a property that was on 5 acres. And it had 3 buildings. And those 3 buildings are about 7,000 square feet each. And they're big. And it's on 5 acres. It had been originally, there's 2 buildings. First 2 buildings were built, and that was a nursing home. And then they built a 3rd building, and it became a facility for the mentally disabled. These were residential. It was a residential facility that people lived in for their lifetime. And it got being badly managed and was then condemned. And it was sitting there absolutely empty, rotting out, essentially, just rotting out. The roofs were horrific. And everything else.
What did we do?
What did we do? We bought it. It sounds crazy, but it was a good price. And we had a donor who was willing to hand us a check to pay for it. So I was going to strike when the iron was hot, so to speak. So we did jump from having our little buildings and our people, you know, in hotels and trying to figure it out to this. Yeah. This has been, actually, it's been a cascading of people's best in a hard time. Where people are giving us stuff and you're helping us along and giving us money, but they're also giving us, BIM's giving us an entire of their dormitory. Furniture, appliances, mattresses, bedding, you know, we'll take all of that. So it's been a sort of a thing where you talk about what you're trying to dream about. And people pick up on your dream and they start to dream with you and try to help. You were saying, Libby, about the master gardeners. So the master gardeners want to come in, for instance, and build gardens so that people in the shelter can grow vegetables during a growing season. which is really important for kids to learn about how a tomato grows or, and so on. So these are the kinds of things but that's not, we don't have to pay for it. That's because the master gardeners have said that's what they want to do. This has been happening over and over again. It's been absolutely marvelous. And you may have read that we just got a very large grant through the ARPA, which is the American Rescue Plan Act. I don't know if you know ARPA. Well, ARPA has been giving money to incorporated villages and counties and so on. And Accomack County has just given us $250,000 from that account. That puts us into a situation in which right now, I'm gonna look at it. That's the shelter.
The shelter's got the building in the back and the rear. There's privacy fencing all around it now.
Right. And we've done siding, roofs, HVAC, electrical. I mean, we really cooked. And what we said was whatever they had enough of so that they could continue to build, keep the process moving, we take. So the siding got to be a different color than we first chose because they had enough, if you understand, to redo the building. So we are finished here. We're going to take all those people out of hotels. We had at last count 5 families and 11 kids who will be in there. And we've refurbished it. It looks absolutely fab. It is a green, not a white. And the next building we're going to, which is why we're here, is that we need funding for this building, which is our administrative and advocacy offices, which will be, which are all connected to this. People in the shelter can then come in and get counseling here in the admin, and they'll also do extra, counseling for people that don't live in the shelter.
Pete, just tell us about the need. What's the need? How many people do we serve?
We serve anywhere usually between 200 to 250 people a year. Their average length of stay is 90 days. Our process is to take them and to give them all the things they need, get them on the path to not going back to their abuser. In the United States, people go back to their abusers 8 to 9 times before they leave permanently. We have a rate of 80% of the people that we work with, this is very high, 80% do not go back to their abusers.
Extremely.
We do this very well. It's because we're small, because we're, in a sense, in Accomack and Northampton County are, relatively small, and the population doesn't go, it stays pretty steady. And so we can really be good at this. Northampton sends 1/3 of our population, just about what we've seen demographically over the years. 2/3 are in Accomack and 1/3 are in Northampton. And you can come back as many times as it takes you to leave your abuser. We aren't judgmental about that. In other words, as a victim, we want you as a survivor. So how do we get you to be a survivor of abuse? So what we wanted to ask me another question?
The total project is what, 1.7 million?
1.7 million.
And we're at about 1.3 million right now, including a few pledges we expect to get. So we're doing pretty well on the campaign. It's a vital mission. It's just an absolutely vital mission. And we could use your help in advocating for us to get ARPA money from the towns, to get ARPA money from the county, Northampton County. Accomack has stepped up. It stepped up a couple weeks ago. We're hoping Northampton will do the same. 2/3, 1/3. Yeah. 2/3, 1/3. That's how things, as y'all probably know, typically, if it's the Eastern Shore project, it's 2/3 Accomack, because Accomack has 2/3 of the population, and 1/3 down here. And also, we have a lot of board members and a lot of experience in the Hancock, the Middle Shore area. We don't have quite as many connections in the far north, although our major, we have a few connections down here. Our major donor, who's given about $400,000 or so, is actually from Chincoteague, came down and made this happen. But we're still looking to, we're trying to reach out and get to know more people in Cape Charles, Northampton, and also northern Accomack counties. We just don't have quite the connections that we have in the Middle Shore. So we appreciate your help in just being aware of what we do, why we do it, and we need to raise up $400,000.
Okay, John, that's enough.
Yeah. Okay, Peaches. So that is enough.
No.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you, and
She'll take questions.
I will, and I also want to just tell you something. I've been a Rotary member 100 years ago, I was a Rotary member, and I am a Paul Harris Fellow with pride. I think you're an exceptional group of people generally that I've met over the years. And I really ask you to be ambassadors for helping people get to us. That makes sense. We'll take it from there, but it's often about being able to reach out on the necks and to get people so that they won't have to live in violence. It's not good for children, it's not good for anybody, it's not good for you. And so you've seen I hope I have them on the tables, but these have our 24-hour hotline. We have a 24-hour hotline. Nobody has to give you their name. It can be just the beginning by just asking a question, just starting, a process that takes them on a journey to get safe. So we answer it 24/7. It's on the bracelet. Sometimes I do this with teenagers, particularly because I like bracelets. To wear it this way, because it can be worn by somebody. You can give it to someone that you know is having trouble but just can't figure it out yet. Needs a safety plan and needs a way to get out of an abusive relationship. Anyway, it can be inside out so that the abuser wouldn't know that that they were taking away maybe their first part of a very important place. I don't know that, so that I want you to take these if you know people, and don't be afraid of, throwing it out there. You never know what it'll take. It isn't in your time, it's in theirs. But you can be helpful. You can be helpful in your communities and so on. So as I say, I think of Rotarians as being able to say, I know who you should call. I know a place where you can get some help. And that may be something. I spend my life now having done this and being so concerned about this and driving so hard and long to get this into where we are in my dream here. But that I become an icon. I can see my gray head and I don't get out of Food Lion for 4 hours. I mean it. I end up constantly doing. And we just had a party, and it was a cocktail party and for a golf tournament. And I was standing there and somebody came up. Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? And I think, goodness, yes, of course. If this is the way I go to my grave, I will be the happiest person on the face of the earth. I mean that sincerely. This has meant that, it makes a difference. I don't know what I do more than connecting them to the right next person. Okay, that's all I do. But I know that I'm saving a life, maybe. I'm changing a life, maybe. And if that helps somebody have a different life and a different choice in their life, that's okay with me any day. So I thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions.
When your clients come to you, I don't know if you call them clients.
Yeah.
How long is the stay? 3 weeks, it say?
No, it's 3 months.
Oh, 3 months.
90 days is our average stay. It can be as little as that. We've gone we take men, women, and children. We take people who are suffering in a situation of domestic violence or sexual assault or human trafficking, okay? And if we have room, we do take in the homeless. We don't take, our mission is not about homeless, but we won't turn somebody away if they need homeless instead. So they stay about 30 days. Men usually used to be about 2% of the people every year. We just statistically we get about 2% for men. Interestingly, during COVID, it jumped to 10%. And it also, one of the families came in with kids. A man came in with his children. We've not really seen that. Men usually have their lives pretty squared away. They probably have a job. Women are not as easily, they're probably even more isolated and don't have a job and don't have a way to make, living right away and so on. Men would come in needing a place to kind of rest, and have a place to stay. And then they had their lives, you know, they could figure out what to do with themselves after that. So they didn't usually stay with us, or women stayed with their children longer. It's harder to find housing for castle, you know, you get a woman with 6 kids and woo-wee. You know, but we managed it. And we had one Christmas where I remember we had 3 women all pregnant. So we had Christmas babies. Right? We just had Christmas babies and it was fine, but we needed, you know, so we put out the word to you. We're on Facebook. We have various other kinds of social media we do as well. And we'll put out the word to you what we need, because we'll need Pampers. And we'll need Pampers in a certain size, because we'll have a whole passel of kiddos, you know, they're all that age, interestingly. And that's the interesting thing. Every day is different. I can't give you, you know, a totally consistent way it looks. I can just tell you some of those statistics. But 3 months is an average day.
So what you need can be found on your Facebook page?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Yes. Yes.
To regularly post, we need, you know, X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, and if we may need bedding, we give them bedding, clothing, food, medication, court cases, we take them to court. We go to all the social services and connect them up with all the social services they need as best we can. We have now a child services advocate who does nothing but focus on the kids. The kids stay in the school systems that they've been in, the elementary schools, the middle schools and so on. They don't come, we don't take them out of school and bring them to an APAC and then they all, you know what I'm saying, they keep going to their same school. That's important. It's also important that where they are is not known. I mean, we're telling you where the shelter is, but no one's gonna tell them at school that they're in the shelter. Okay, unless they tell them themselves, which they may. But the point is that where they are was one of the things that we try to keep them safe. They're often pawns in this. Now we've designed a shelter to take in animals. We'll see how that works. I have trepidation about this, but a lot of people won't leave if they're gonna leave a dog behind or a cat behind. You know, they worry about whether someone's gonna take care of it, and that's just like part of their family for them. We don't want them not to leave dangerous situation and just because of an animal. So we're going to take them in, as I say, see how that works. So we may be calling on you to get us crates, dog food, you know, bones, things like that. So that'll change a little bit too. Anybody else?
What is your capacity versus what you see as a demand for?
These buildings have 10 bedrooms in them. I'm sorry, thank you for this. They have 10 bedrooms and they're called Jack and Jill's. So there's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom in between. We think we could put about 30 people in that shelter right now. Because we got our bunk beds in there and we'll do that. We hope that we won't ask people to be in the same room together. You know, it's not family, but if that's the case, that's of course what we'll do, because that's what we've done in the past and that's what we can do at this point too.
What's your plans for the third, for this group?
That's a good question, in a way. Right now, we're using it as a warehouse of all of the donations that we get. We just bring them up and people leave things off for us, beds and bureaus and lamps. And, you know, so it's that right now. We see that as maybe being built, if we can, for extra bedrooms. You know, we're not sure about our capacity. It's growing, not hugely, but it's growing, and we need to perhaps use some of those bedrooms. There are 10 bedrooms in each of the buildings. I'm sorry. Okay, so each of them has that. The administrative building, the bedrooms are going out, they're becoming the offices. That third building is right now full of donations. It's where we collect our donations and our volunteer coordinator works. So we'll see. We also want to be connecting more with the community. So we had all the police, we invited all the police to come up and give us ideas about security for this new building. Exmoor came, the sheriff's office came, they came and we gave them tours and they gave us ideas. A lot about using more lighting, what kinds of alarm systems we're using, calling 911, even though you've hit a panic button, because it takes too long to route it, and maybe somebody needs to come more quickly. Where our cameras were, we have cameras on the whole outside of the building, we have cameras inside the building now. You know, where they should be directed, etc. We're very close to the fire department and the Hancock Police. So they come like that. We had panic buttons in the old shelter, which were rarely used, but every once in a while somebody tries to get in who shouldn't get in. So that triggers off an incident with the police. Yes,
How do you manage feeding them?
they feed themselves.
So you don't provide them with food?
We put in 3 kitchenettes. They're gonna have to share that. The 3 stoves, 3 full kitchens. We buy food from the food bank. We take food donations. They get, some of them are eligible and get connected up with food stamps and WIC and that kind of thing, and they start to buy their own food for themselves. We are going to have a small fridge and this is a pretty ritzy. They have a TV, a small fridge, and a microwave in their own room. And that's because if they've just been beaten, I hate to say it, but they have, they don't necessarily want to join a group. They aren't ready to do that. They need a little bit of healing time. They need some peace, a place to sort of detox a little from what's happened to them and then join, you know, and start the process. So we thought that if they felt that they weren't well enough and they wanted to stay in their room, so be it. We have put in lockers as a suggestion in the kitchen area for each room, so that when they buy that special kind of cereal for their kid, who likes only that kind of cereal and doesn't want to eat, you know, and doesn't want somebody else eating it, a pantry, so the lockers go up and they can put their own food in that. We've been asking lots of questions as we've been building this, so that we are trying to, as I say, absolutely reduce any of the tensions and, you know, the things that cause conflict or can be difficult.
Thank you very much. One last question, or do we have any?
Thank you, I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
and John, thank you
Thank you.
very, very much. Has made a contribution to the Literacy Council to provide copies of Meet the Great, which is, it will be for the children participating in the council's Dolly Parton free book giveaway. This is their graduation book. And it is, it's considered a chapter book and a little step up from what they get under the Dolly Parton program. And the council's been kind enough to offer to put these little plaques in there. Your names and the name of the Domestic Violence Coalition will be in the book, going out to 5 people. Excuse me.
Okay,
Very
wonderful, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want you to step up
I know,
on this. Thank you very much.
My
It's
pleasure.
a very compelling story. And good luck.
It's very
Yes.
important.
Thank you. Please stand for the Rotary pledge. One, is it the truth?
Is fair to all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
And stand number 5.
Will we have fun?
Yes.
Go forth, prosper, and remember, service above self. Thank you all.